Childhood as past is a terrifying concept that feasts off of something you will experience at least once in your life. A godlike entity that exists within a realm we can never reach, yet it is always watching, waiting for its moment to strike an unfair deal. Now, I've talked quite a bit about childhood as past and why I think it's terrifying. But there's actually an expanding universe of creatures like it, all with a different purpose and all sort of going against each other. Or more accurately, they are trying to fulfill their own purpose. We know that childhood wishes to manipulate you into going back into your memories and furthering its agenda. It's not because it's evil, but because that's just its nature. It doesn't have feelings or emotion, it just mimics what you love so it can get what it wants. It knows that it can never escape the realm that it's trapped in, yet it will try. Childhood has past represents mourning nostalgia and the physical and mental harm that dwelling on the past can bring. If you dwell in the past forever, and given to childhood's tempting nature, you'll be put into a vegetative state with no way to fight back. What if there was a different outcome? What happens when you are able to fight your need to go back? And you could be hopeful for the future and things it can bring. To realize that nostalgia doesn't have to be harmful in careful doses. Childhood is past. Good future is an entirely different entity with its own goals. It represents the 5 types of nostalgia. A lot of the material I read to you here will be straight off the Google Doc that was provided by AR. As always, a huge thank you to AR for spending the time and writing all of this down and making it really easy for me to talk about the information. AR has commissions open from time to time, so if you like a lot of the art used in this video, it's most definitely him, so be sure to check them out. He's even got a YouTube channel where you guys can watch his insane animations and keep up with the story of everything that's going on with not only childhood, but what we're talking about today and along with a future video. Without further ado, let's figure out just what and who childhood Good Future is. Good Future is basically the same entity as childhood, just from a different plane. It shares the same incapacity to feel. However, its purposes, though they may seem normal at first glance, but it is more than that. It states here on the Google Doc that Good Future is aware that the mere existence of childhood, as well as its own, can be fatal to the Omniverse itself. Allowing childhood to interfere in the lives of all who feel nostalgia could cause a terrible imbalance. For that reason, it has chosen to become its opposite for the sake of order. There needs to be a balance. Too much of one thing is fatal, and it's Good Future's job to kind of fight that. Not because it has feelings, but because that is its purpose. These are multi-dimensional beings that most people can't really comprehend. Knowing that it cannot escape, it has remained on the margins within the subconscious of people without causing harm or interference. However, ever since childhood chose to become what it is, Good Future has taken this as its reason for being, stopping childhood not out of kindness, but out of necessity. Still, it has chosen to take on a positive stance towards all beings capable of feeling. So it might be that this creature has existed for a long time, but didn't really have purpose up until childhood has passed, started doing what it is doing now. Given how time works, this can get a little confusing, but we know that it's not from the same plane of existence. It also doesn't have a desire to escape from anything. Though, to be clear, Good Future does not feel. It does not feel fear, happiness, or anything at all, but understands the meaning of what is human. In its own words, there are too many people, but very little humanity. Beings destroying one another for power or dominance, beyond the natural order of things, driven by selfish interests that only bring more pain and loss. Good Future values existence and believes it does not have to be a constant struggle for survival. I think the concept of something that's unable to feel but chooses to be good is just really cool to me. I mean, it has a purpose and it will see it through. And if anyone is confused about how it exists in a different plane, it goes like this. Childhood, adulthood, who I will be talking about in a future video, and Good Future are all 4th-dimensional beings. They have confinement within the same dimension, just in different points. They all represent something different, and as mentioned before, Good Future has 5 different points of nostalgia: personal, reflective, restorative, collective, and universal. Much like childhood is past, there are different phases and stages that someone experiences when interacting with Good Future. These designs are actually amazing, and a small detail you may have noticed. The concept of Good Future sort of resembles Sonic CD, where Good Future was a gameplay mechanic. A cool detail for sure. Small details aside, how does it function and what are each of the phases and what do they do and look like? Good Future resides in our subconscious. The subconscious is a plane of the mind that stores all of our memories, the state that influences our awareness. Good Future inhabits the subconscious, specifically through dreams. It has 5 phases and manifests as a continuous dream, not gradual like childhood has passed. It does not intend to wake you late. For, like childhood, it can wake you whenever it deems necessary. It does not possess an eye artifact. Unlike childhood, Good Future neither needs nor carries such an artifact, for it already possesses that ability within itself. By residing in the subconscious of people, it already knows how to recreate the past in advance. For anyone confused, the artifact childhood uses is a part of its being, and in order to activate its ability, you have to stare into it. But Good Future doesn't have that, as it's already a core functionality. Honestly, the concept is really cool, and I wonder if it could ever be turned into a game or something. Seeing any one of these guys in a Roblox horror game or something like that would be pretty cool. I also could see them in like a story type of horror game where we play as a victim who is suffering from nostalgia, has kind of like a tragic past, but as it goes on, he basically is fighting between Good Future and childhood is past and which path he's going to take, one that's harder or one that's easier to give into. Again, would be a really cool game to see, but obviously game development is hard, and personally, I'm just grateful that we even have this story and that I'm able to make this video. But I'm getting sidetracked. Let's go over the 5 Pokemon evolution stages that this wonderful thing goes through and what form it takes / what it represents. It's not actually Pokemon, guys, but if it was, I would catch it. Personal. Phase 1. Appears as a polygonal character with a heroic accessory, usually cape, though it may vary. The clock on its chest also changes depending on the form it takes. The setting begins as a blank white space, later transforming into a deeply personal place for you. You will have full control over the dream until Good Future reveals itself, explaining it was drawn to your nostalgia but also to your hope and resilience to move forward. It will behave like the character it imitates, emphasizing their most heroic traits. It will offer you a vision of your past as accurately as possible and ask you to share why you long for it and what present struggles push you towards it. It will remind you of the joy you once had, but also that this cannot solve your current problems. Yet convincing someone otherwise is not easy, and Good Future knows it. So in Phase 1, this is your introduction. You've just been tempted, but you have a want to fight it. I'm a little biased because I obviously love capes in designs, so of course you know I'm going to love this particular design, but Phase 1 is very welcoming, and I like that it gets like a heroic sort of like item. This is to kind of trick you in another way, like in a more positive light, like to make you be like, oh, this is like my hero. And they're telling me that I need to be strong, which is kind of empowering. I mean, if Sonic was like, hey, I know things are tough right now, but don't worry, it'll always get better. I'll be like, yeah, I could do anything now. Sonic told me I could. Let's move on to Phase 2, Restorative. Now the character represents a later stage in its timeline with a more serious demeanor. Before you lies a corridor lined with windows, each showing happy memories of your past. You may try to enter them, but the glass will shatter into pieces at your feet. Good Future will explain that this place is only a reflection of your desires. It no longer belongs to you. Attempting to gather the shards will only hurt your hands. The trial is to walk through the hall without touching them. You may observe, but not relive. Though you may get hurt, Good Future will hold your hand to keep you from straying. The will to grow and move forward must come from you. So it's at this stage, right? Usually, you make a deal with childhood once, and you might be tempted to do it again. He has a little bit of power over you around the 2nd, but more prominently during the 3rd or 4th phase. Good Future, you can kind of turn around if your will isn't strong enough, if you really don't if you cannot bear the pain that is good future and what it's showing you, all of the memories that you're walking past, to accept that the willpower, he will try to hold your hand, he will try to push you through it, but the willpower must come from you. Otherwise, you're going to turn around and make a terrible mistake. Phase 3 is reflective. The character takes on another later form, more serious yet compassionate. The play shifts, showing a white corridor filled with childhood memories, both good and bad. The mind clings to joy as a defense, but here you must face the truth. Running will only cause you to be lost in the memories. Good future will watch, intervening if necessary. To move on, you must forgive your past and accept it was never perfect. When you are ready, it will pull you out, even if you relive your darkest moments, ensuring you are never harmed. So you're essentially having to go through awful moments at this point, but it'll make sure that you're going to be safe. This will take us to Collective Phase 4. Its form now reflects great power, enough to gather multiple consciousness into the same plane. Here, you may confront the pain shared in their hearts. Perhaps words were left unspoken, mistakes left uncorrected. Good future will give you the tools to wander through forgotten negative memories and find answers. You may bring back those who once stood by you. This is a moment to face fears, discover truths, and restore peace. In the final phase, Universal Phase 5, this phase is overwhelming. Here, Good Future reveals all you have overcome and all that could have destroyed you if you had not faced your nostalgia, and you'll find yourself crying. Because it will be beautiful to know you succeeded. It will tell you to awaken, to embrace those still here, to say farewell to those gone. This entire process you achieved alone. Your childhood will always remain with you, where it belongs, in the past. I gotta give Ray credit here, as this was like well written, and I'm mostly passing on the information and giving my own takes and opinions. While this being comes to you with good intent, it forces you to face all the things in your past. At first it's the good, it eases you in, but as it goes on, you're forced to realize that the past isn't exactly what you want it to be. You had bad moments in the past as well, and you got through them because of the good that happened. If you stay stuck in the past, if you rely on it, then you're a perfect victim for childhood's past. But if you have the willpower, the want to continue despite your longing for what once was, then you may have a good future. The Google Doc does go on to explain the nature of the 5 stages, reading as follows. These 5 phases can take place in various scenarios. Imagination is the only limit. Good Future can create scenarios better than anyone. It has greater creative ability than the artifacts of childhood and adulthood. Although it does not possess an artifact of its own, it has the all-seeing eyes. These eyes replace the infinity symbol held by childhood and adulthood and allow it to perceive more about you. With enough power over your mind, it can even bring forth the consciousness of people close to you, like a shared dream. This happens in the 4th phase, as explained. The way you overcome Good Future's trials can vary. Sometimes they appear as puzzles, challenges that mimic your favorite game, and so on. Its aesthetic leans more towards Dreamcore and Hopecore. I like that this thing, it represents hope and how it has an incredible amount of power, able to create things better than its more brutal counterpart. I'll get into designs in a minute because I love how it looks, but its function is interesting. Not only can it show you memories, but if you fight hard enough, if you have the want to move forward, it can pull other people in to make you feel like you're not alone, that there are things to look forward to, and that the past didn't hold all the answers. Sure, it's okay to go back every once in a while, appreciate what you had, but tomorrow may always be better. You essentially get another chance to apologize to someone you did wrong to, or at the very least, see the mistake. Talk to an old friend who you may have miscommunicated to. See a loved one you haven't talked to in a while. Things like that. Concepts like this is extremely fascinating. But there are requirements to attract this particular entity. In the case that a former victim of childhood has broken the deal during its intermediate phases, but still holds on to hope and seeks a way to overcome their problems, Good Future will appear. He will be there to heal you if he is drawn to that need for self-improvement. The psychological problems will gradually diminish. Of course, that does not mean he will do everything. To truly make a greater impact, Good Future will act within your consciousness in such a way that you will seek psychological help from a specialist. This after going through his 5 stages of nostalgia. A psychological diagnosis can drastically reduce the symptoms together with Good Future's aid. It is possible to lessen the symptoms if the victim escaped the deal between phases 2 and 3. The first brings no consequences, and the fourth is inevitable. Or is it? This is referring to childhood as past and when it could appear. Childhood as past only really appears when it can sense deep nostalgia within you. If you escaped phases 2 or 3 from childhood as past, it's possible for Good Future to appear should you have the want to escape, or rather, you have the will and want to not go back to the past. As a reminder, childhood as past, 4th phase, makes him appear in every reflection there is, and looking at him is a death sentence because it immediately sends you back and puts him in his 5th phase, which puts you in a vegetative state. But what if in the 4th phase, when everything already seems lost, you decide to hold on? There is a very, very small chance that Good Future will appear in the face of childhood's threat, but you must avoid looking at mirrors, reflections, or absolutely anything that shows your image. It's not easy at all. It is almost and technically impossible, but the only thing at stake is hope. It depends on you who will win. You must make Good Future complete his phases by overcoming his trials, while at the same time, childhood is trying to take over your mind and body. A direct confrontation will unfold. Keep hope alive and do not allow yourself to be defeated by childhood's influence. If you lose it, Good Future loses too. To me, this seems like it's representative of hope itself. Things are going to seem like they're impossible, but if you hold on to hope, to try and see that maybe you have a chance, maybe you could put up a fight no matter what, you can win. Even if it is impossible, you held on to hope until the very end, and no one would take that away from you. And maybe you can give Good Future enough power to help your battle against despair. All the art depicted with them going against each other, because like they aren't just battling one-on-one. This is a constant battle that is going on all across the world because multi-dimensional beings existing in different places. And I think this is so cool because it's like a perfect kind of rivalry. There is another rival, which is adulthood, who I will talk about. All right, now that we understand what Good Future is and its objective, let's go over the designs and why it takes that appearance. In the first phase, it's welcoming and innocent. Just like with childhood, in this phase, the hands on the clock on the torso always points to 12. Since it is the first hour when the clock starts moving. If the clock is of another type, such as a sundial, a pendulum clock, or a digital clock, it's the same. The arrow, the number, etc. will always point to 12. This is very important as it is how the first phase of Good Future is defined. You'll notice that this version has a cape, which might resemble something Sonic fans are familiar with. Perhaps a title screen. Dear viewer, it only gets better. The second phase has one of the hands pointed to 12, while the second hand points to 3, 1/4 of an hour, 15 minutes. In this phase, the hand points to 12 does not have a symbol as such, but there is an eyelid in the middle of Good Future's head. The second hand will not have a symbol until the next phase. The eye on its forehead seems to represent your progress and symbolizes seeing things clearly and not being blinded by nostalgia. Though I can't lie. Phase 3 and onward are probably the coolest. The third phase, one of the hands still points to 12, while the second hand points to 6, 2/4 of an hour, 30 minutes. In this phase, half of the clock has been completed. The eye of the forehead will begin to open, and one of the open eyes will appear on the clock. This references Sonic Adventure with its art style and the way that Sonic is, and it's showing your progress and growth throughout the process, just like how you started to grow up with new Sonic games. Keep in mind, like childhood has passed, it can take the forms of different characters, but in this case, it's Sonic and it's awesome. The fourth phase. One of the hands still points to 12, while the second hand points to 9. 3/4 of an hour, 45 minutes in this phase. More than half of the clock has been completed. There will be 2 open eyes, and the eye on the forehead will continue to open while gaining more colors. And the best part about this is that it's freaking golden Sonic, symbolizing your power and hope. Much like in Sonic games, when he can't beat someone on his own, he powers up with the Chaos Emeralds and you can feel that hope. This reflects that. This is you getting the Chaos Emeralds. But the 5th phase is something beyond just Sonic. You left that in the past and are facing reality. The clock cycle has been completed. 4/4 of an hour, 60 minutes. All 4 eyes are open. Millions of possibilities can be seen. With the power that confines super consciousness, anything is possible. Let's move forward. Don't give up. You are filled with hope and gain the ability to fight and move on. I really like this because there are subtle changes to the design that signify the stages. Little details like it becoming something else because you moved on from the past is pretty cool. And for my FNF fans out there is actually another Childhood Has Passed First Good Future song that is being made, and I just so happen to have a teaser because AR was nice enough to give me one. So go ahead and have a listen. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And that is Childhood Good Future. To see this universe expand and have different entities with different objectives, it has been a ton of fun to read and look into. Though you may have heard me mention someone named Adulthood, and this guy is the newest to this universe, and he is different. Dude is so metal, he takes the form of Shadow, rides a metal as hell bike, and makes you fight him in a battle to the death. Okay, that's not exactly what happens, but if you're interested in learning about that guy, stay tuned. Unless you're watching the supercut, in which case you're about to find out. For the rest of you in the past, you have a good future to look forward to. Unless the video I make is bad, then, well, I guess I just lied. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out AR's YouTube channel, follow all their socials. Honestly, he was a big help, and again, getting information was so easy for me. And remember, stay freaky!